Welcome everybody to this Photoshop in-class assignment demo going over selections, okay? This will be what we're going to create today together. So let's get started. I have already downloaded all of the practice files and I've put them in a folder titled Selections. I'm just going to double click and then you can see all of the files that I've downloaded. We're ready to open Photoshop and get started. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to click on Open. I'm going to click Open. And then I'm going to hold down my Shift key and I'm going to click each file. And then I'm going to click Open. Okay. So now we have all of our files open in our tab menu right here, except we can't see all of them. So we're just going to click on these double arrows and then this is where all of our files are. So this is where we'll be working with in the beginning until we can see our files in our tab menu. So this is the end. This is our reference. I'll go to View, Fit on Screen. That way we can really see it. So this is what we are going to create, and this is a great reference. And this is where we're going to start with, okay? So again, I'm going to type View, Fit on Screen. Okay. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to unlock the background, okay? That way I can work on it, I can save it how I want to. We just want to make sure that unlock's unlocked. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to select my rectangular marquee, okay? So if you look underneath the rectangular marquee, there's an elliptical marquee, a single row marquee, and a single column marquee, okay? So the rectangle marquee makes a selection in the shape of a rectangle, okay? So we're going to have that selected. I want to make sure that I've selected a color in my color picker. I recommend a gray. You can pick whatever color you want. Just know that neutrals, because there are colors in these shells, the neutral tones are going to harmonize the best with your composition. But I do want to give you artistic license to use whatever colors you want. My only ask is that they not be hard to look at, okay? I'm gonna choose a light gray because it's a neutral tone. It's just gonna harmonize well. Neutral tones have a tendency to harmonize well. I'm gonna click OK. And I'm going to go up here and I could use this one, but this means just one marquee can be selected at a time, okay? So I can only select one marquee at a time, okay? I want to select 3 at a time. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to select this one, okay? That means I can make multiple selections. And I'm just going to click and drag. I already have this one selected, and then I'm finally going to click and drag that bottom frame, okay? So now I have my frame selected, I'm ready to color them in. I already have my colors picked. I'm going to go up to the paint bucket, and the paint bucket fills areas of similar color with the foreground color. And this is the foreground color, okay, in the color picker. So I'm just going to click and click and click, okay? And now I'm going to go up to Select, Deselect, or keyboard shortcut, Command or Control D. Now we're ready to put some shells in our frames. So we want to click Save. Always save. When in doubt, save. Saving when you are just working on your composition is great practice. Always save your progress. Okay. So now that we've saved our document, we're ready to start adding our shells. So I'm going to click on my arrows. I'm going to go to shell 1, and I'm going to zoom in. The shell that I want to select is this sea urchin shell. And the way I want to do that is I'm going to use the quick selection tool. And it's hidden under the magic wand. You might have the quick selection tool showing, but you might also see object selection tool, quick selection tool, or magic wand tool. Okay, I'm going to click quick selection. And the quick selection tool makes a selection by finding and following the edges in an image. Okay, and I am going to make sure that either the single selection is selected, or the selection with the plus sign is selected. Okay, we don't want the minus sign just yet, so we're just going to use the plus sign. I can adjust my brush size to make it a little bit bigger so it takes less time. And once I have all of that, then I'm just going to click around. You can kind of see the marching ants. Just going to click around. And it's okay if your selection goes a little over. Sometimes I get better selections that way by going a little over and then going up to my minus sign and then clicking that back in. Okay? So now that I have my shell selected, I'm ready to go to select, inverse. I want to make sure that there is not a lock symbol, which there isn't, which is good. And now that I've selected inverse, I'm going to simply click delete. Okay? And now I'm going to Command or Control D to deselect. And I have my selection right here with the transparent background. Now I want to bring it over into my shell collection version 2. I'm going to double click layer 1. I'm going to click duplicate layer. I'm going to title it shell 1, and then I want to tell Photoshop that I want it to go to document shell collection version 2 as the destination. Okay, then I'm going to click OK. And then we can go to shell collection, and we can see our shell on our document. Super fast. Okay, so now that we have our shell in our document, I can go to Edit, Transform, and I have all of these options. I could scale, rotate, skew, distort, perspective, warp, rotate 180, rotate 90 clockwise, 90 counterclockwise, flip horizontal, flip vertical. Okay, I just want to scale it. So now I have my scaling bounding box, and I'm just going to reduce the size, and I'm going to click my check mark. I want to rotate it as well, so I'm just going to go to Edit, Transform, Rotate. Okay, and I'm going to wait until I see the curved arrows, grab a corner, and then I can click my check mark. I kind of need to know where it's going to go, so I'm just going to reference the end. So it's right there. I can go back to my shell collection, I can grab my move tool, and I can just locate it to that correct frame. Okay? Now that we have our first shell, we're ready to get rid of that file, the shell 1 file, because we don't need it. So I have shell 1, I'm back in that tab, and I'm just going to click this little X, and then I'm going to click Don't Save. Okay? Now we're ready for shell 2. I'm going to grab my arrows, shell 2, and shell 2 is going to be object selection. Okay? Object selection finds and automatically selects objects. Okay? Object selection tool finds and automatically selects objects. Okay? So I could either select the background or I could select the shell. Okay? I'm going to select the shell. Then I'm going to go to Select, Inverse, Delete, and then Command or Control D. Okay? Now I can go to Layer 1, double click, duplicate layer, shell 2, shell collection version 2, click OK. And now I can find shell collection version 2. And this shell is a little big, so I'm just going to grab the move tool to reduce the size. Okay. And then I can move it to the upper frame. I'm going to double click to make sure. Yeah, that one. Okay. And now we're ready for shell 3. So I'll click shell 3. I'm going to zoom in. This particular image is going to work really well with the magic wand because there is a very, it's just got a white background. And the magic wand is great for selections that have a white background. Okay, and the magic wand tool selects an area based on its color. Okay, so if you just have a white background, or in this example, an orange background, magic wand will just select all of it. Okay, and then up here you have your tolerances. My tolerance right now is set to 10. I want it to be at 32. Okay, I want it to be a little bit stricter than 10. Okay, so the lower the number, the less strict. The higher the number, more strict. 32 is the default. Okay, so I'm going to Command Z to undo that selection. Command Z or Control Z is our keyboard shortcut for undo. Okay, so I have my tolerance set to 32, and I'm just going to click there, and I'm going to click delete. I'm going to Command or Control D, and I don't need all of these other shells, so I'm just going to grab my eraser tool, make sure that the size is really big, and I'm just going to erase the rest of those shells. As awesome as selection tools are, sometimes we do just have to kind of erase finer details. Okay, so now I have my starfish selected, everything erased. I'm going to double click layer 1, duplicate layer, title shell 3, destination, shell collection version 2, click OK, and then I'll click on the shell collection version 2 tab, and I have my starfish right here. Okay. And for this one, I am going to go to Edit, Free Transform, or Command T, Command or Control T as our keyboard shortcut. Okay. And Free Transform is really, really awesome. It's a really quick way of scaling, of rotating, and if you hold down the Shift key, you can skew it. Okay. I just want to rotate and then reduce the size, scale it down. And then I'm going to bring it into this little frame down in the lower left corner, okay? And I need to zoom in. Sometimes you have to zoom in to Photoshop to really get your element to place where you want it to be. It's always been a bug in Photoshop. So if you're trying to place something and it's just not going exactly where you want it to go, try zooming in. That usually alleviates that little bug, okay? So I'll click the check mark, and I'm ready to save my work. File, save, and then I'm ready to simply, now that we have our tabs, we can see all of our tabs, I'm just going to simply click on that X and click Don't Save, okay? And then View, Fit on Screen, and we're ready for shell 4. So I'm just going to click shell 4. And for shell 4, we're going to use object selection. So I'll go up here, I'll grab my object selection, and I'm just going to click these shells. It's okay that this shell is also getting selected because we'll just erase it. And I am going to go to Select, inverse, and then delete. Okay? And then Command or Control D. I'll grab my eraser and I'll just erase out that extra little bit. Okay. So now that I have my shell selected, I can go to Layer 1, duplicate layer, Shell 4, destination, shell collection version 2, okay. And I am going to Command or Control T to rotate, scale. I think it goes in this one. I'm going to click the check mark, and then I'm going to check the end just for reference. I was wrong, it goes right there. So I will grab my move tool and just relocate it. Okay, I'll click my check mark, and we're ready for shell 5. Okay, I'm just gonna delete shell 2. I forgot to do that a little earlier, my apologies. I'll click shell 4, get rid of that 2, and now we're ready for shell 5. Click shell 5, I'll zoom in so I can see it. This is an object selection, so I have my object selection selected. I'm going to click the shell. I'm going to go to Select, Inverse, Delete. Okay? Command or Control D, then Layer 1, double click, duplicate layer, our destination, shell collection version 2, click OK. Grab my move tool, and I'm just going to move it into place. Okay. I'm going to check, make sure it's in the right spot. It is, so we can move on. I'm going to save. Always save your progress, and then I can delete shell 5. Okay. And we're ready now for shell 6. Shell 6 is going to be another object selection. So I'll just select my object selection. I will click my shell. I'll go to Select, Inverse, Delete. Command or Control D to deselect. I'll go to Layer 1, double click, duplicate layer, shell 6. Our destination is shell collection version 2. Click OK. I'll grab my move tool. I'll rotate. I'll scale down, and then I'll move it into place. Okay. I'll click my check mark, and I'm ready to delete shell 6, and I'll save. Okay. And now we're ready for layer or shell 7. So shell 7 does have a lock, so we're just going to click that lock to unlock it. Next, we want to get rid of this text. So I'm just going to grab my eraser. I'm just going to erase it. Then I'm going to go to Magic Wand, click the background, click delete. Okay. Then I can either Command or Control D to deselect, or I can go to Select, Deselect. Okay. Now I'll go to Layer 0, duplicate layer, type in shell 7. My destination will be shell collection version 2. Click OK. I'm going to grab my move tool, and I'm just going to scale that down and then move it into place. I need to zoom in just a little bit. That way it goes exactly where I want it to. I'll click check mark, view, fit on screen. Now I'll save, and I will delete shell 7. And we're ready for shell 8. Okay, I'll zoom in. For shell 8, I want to use the magic wand. And I want my tolerance to be 10, okay? And I'm going to click the white background and everything's selected. Let's see what happens if we type in 50, okay? I'm going to Command Z, as in zoo, to undo the action. We're at tolerance 50. And this is what we've got when we're at a tolerance 50. If we zoom in, we're missing some of these details because this is white enough that the magic wand tool at tolerance 50 recognizes it as the same color as the white background. Okay, it's similar enough that it's getting selected. Okay, so we don't want that. So I'm going to Command Z, as in zoo, to undo. Bring my tolerance back down to 10, and then I'll click, and I've got everything I want selected with my seashell. I want to turn the background lock off. I'll go to Select Inverse, and then Delete. Oops. Not inverse. There we go. So if that happens, just Command or Control Z to undo the action, and then fix the step that way. It's not a big deal. It may be a little shocking at first if, here I'll Command Z, select inverse. If you have an accident, this is the beauty of Photoshop. If you accidentally inverse when you don't mean to and you click delete, and then you delete your element, your subject, all you have to do is Command or Control Z to undo the action, okay? And then you can select, inverse, and then click delete, okay? It's one of my favorite things about Photoshop is you can undo a mistake very, very quickly. And we all make mistakes. We're human, and it's totally okay to do so. Okay, moving forward. Now that we have our seashell selected, I can Command or Control D to deselect. I will double click my layer 0, duplicate layer. This is shell 8. My destination is shell collection version 2. We'll click OK. And I'm going to grab my move tool. I usually go for move tool. We could use Edit Transform. We could use Command or Control T for free transform. We could go to Edit, free transform, or we can just click the move tool. Okay, I like clicking the move tool. It's really, really fast, and when I'm working in Photoshop, I'm trying to move as fast as possible. My work, I like a nice, quick workflow. So I generally stick with the tools that allow me to do that. But you use what works for you, okay? Whatever you're the most comfortable with. And I'll click my check mark. So finally, view, fit on screen. Finally, the last thing I want to do is I need to fill up this frame, and we don't have any more shells. I'll delete this shell. So what I want to do is I'm going to copy one of these shells. Feel free to copy whichever shell you want. I'm going to choose the starfish down here, and I am going to click in my menu bar, Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste. I could also use the keyboard shortcut, Command or Control C, as in cat, or Command or Control V, as in vary. So Command or Control C to copy, Command or Control V to paste. Okay, now that I have my copy, it's underneath this starfish, and that has to do with a thing called stacking order. But for now, just know that when you move with the move tool, you have this selected, that it will uncover itself, okay? We'll learn about all that good stuff next week because I don't want to give you too much information, okay? All at once. It's a thing called cognitive overload, and we're just sticking with selections, so I'm gonna stick with selections. So now that I have my starfish, I had to enlarge it, I had to scale it up just a little bit. I am ready to adjust it slightly. I want to adjust the tones slightly because I don't want it to look like an obvious copy and paste. Okay? So I'm just going to go to adjustments and I'm going to work with the levels. We've already worked with levels a little bit. So I feel like it's a comfortable place to just to work with adjusting this image, this element. So I'm just going to grab the left arrow and I'm going to drag, oh no, everything's getting darker. That is totally fine. It's because when we create that levels layer, it's affecting everything on the page. So what we want to do, this is our shell 3. I'm just going to turn the eyeball off to confirm that, okay? We want to create what we call a clipping mask. We'll learn about this more in the weeks to come, but I want to put this on your radar now. So we have our shell 3. We have our levels right above shell 3. I'm going to double click levels. I see our options and I want to scroll all the way down until I see create clipping mask, okay? So now that I've clicked that, I've got this little arrow right here, and that is telling me that Photoshop recognizes that I only want this layer to be affected, okay? So now when I go and I move my left triangle, only that seashell gets affected. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of, just a little bit, just to make it just a little different from the original, okay? And that's it. So now we have this awesome composition. We have our shell collection. We can file, save, and that's saving to the Creative Cloud. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.